Welcome to Tripping the Void with your host, Saraphine Hurley. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. This is Saraphine Hurley with Tripping the Void, and so glad to see all of you today that are joining us. And just as a reminder, our call-in number today is 202-559-7943, if I could see today. So once again, it's Saraphine Hurley with Tripping the Void, and our topic of the day is phantom lovers. So I'm going to be talking about ghosts, gods, demons, people who basically may have not even been people, but are wanting to touch people, or people who want to reach out and touch the ethereal. So we're going to go around and see where this lands, and feel free to join in the chat, call in, and questions, or, you know, even your own personal story with this and other stuff. So, yeah. So the reason why I decided to do this is because, and as in a recent time, I would say the last 6 or 8 weeks, actually, I had this experience which kind of tripped me out. And the experience was that, you know how you are in your jammies, you know what you're wearing, right? Unequivocally, this is what I've got on. And I went upstairs to go to bed. And because I don't sleep very well, I'm usually have insomnia or whatever, so I don't expect to stay asleep. So I'm just laying there and I watch something till I fall asleep. And then all of a sudden, it's like I thought I was waking up or waking up into something, but I was actually having an encounter with, I don't know if it was a ghost or anything else, but what I can tell you is that what was happening to me, I was wearing the same clothes, I was in the same position in bed, and the cats and everything else was the same. But I can tell you, if I had to take a lie detector test, that wasn't a dream. That whoever that was actually with me. And because, come on, you can tell. And I know that it can be a dream state or something like that. But I sat up from that, which actually lasted a fair amount of time, and was sitting up like, not only, dang, where did he go? But what just happened? Because I'd never experienced anything of that caliber before. I've had dreams and things like that, but this was definitely not a dream. And so I started looking into things, and I actually have some friends that swear to the fact that they actually on the regular talk to ghosts and get them to have sex with them, which I find interesting. I'm not going to shoot it down. And Katie, did you have a question?
No, not yet.
Okay, I'm just checking in. So, with that being said, I mean, I've even talked to people who are in magical circles, for lack of a better term. I'll just keep it with magical, that have relations with deities on different times and for different reasons. Other religious practices that do practice having relations with forces that are not of this realm, or maybe are of this realm, but normally is not something that you and I come in contact with on the daily. I mean, being an investigator for a lot of years and questioning a lot of things myself, and not only validity, but how things tend to happen. And because I've been touched, and I've been grabbed, I've been bitten, lots of stuff has happened to me in many different places all around the world. And they're very real. Now, I can't really shoot somebody down and say that's just BS that you had relations with a ghost. I mean, this goes all the way back to when we were writing on tablets of stone and then papyrus and recording all of these things from Egyptians, Sumerians. As long as we've had 2 legs and walked around and had the ability to record, we've been recording our experiences. They go back that far. It's just weeding through the timelines and the lines to find out if that was an actual experience. Excuse me, my allergies, sorry. If it was an actual experience, if it was a dream experience, if it was a religious experience, or other. So I'm really interested to hear what other people have to say, not only about the topic, but if they have any personal experiences with the subject, or what they even think about it. So, as in recent times, I've found blogs. There are these blogs with people who are trying to, as you see all of these shows about, like GA or TAPS or the other ones that are still in circulation or, being replayed either YouTube or on an actual station itself, that people are really reaching out even if it scares them into the paranormal or curiosity, where they're starting to dabble into reaching out into touching these worlds, which is impressive to me considering that I know people to be fearful. So when we talk about fear a little bit, what does the word fear really mean to us? Because when you're afraid of something or something scares you or you have some kind of trauma from it, sometimes that trauma and fear can turn into feelings of other things. And that's kind of where we go back into the taboo subject of BDSM and why people like to be frightened and touched the way they want to be. So does this come in and fall in line with the taboo of having relations with a deity or a ghost or some other being from another world? I mean, I even read that people are even having relations with alien forces, and that's not uncommon. So that's not untouchable itself either. So I'm open to any experience for any reason. Now these blogs go on to talk about, these people are fairly in my, my realm of understanding certain demographics of people, let's say. I'm not typecasting anybody. I'm just saying I know this person to be basically Buffy, and she's going to all of a sudden decide that she's going to reach out and touch somebody in the ethereal realm or whatever realm she's going to try to reach out to. But this person doesn't know a ghost from Patrick Swayze's ghost. I mean, never done anything before in her life, but all of a sudden she's going to have this goal that she's going to bypass her boyfriend, she's going to collect $200, and she's going to go for the gold with having it off with a ghost. What brings you to that moment? Like, you don't know anything about what you're about to go ahead and do. We can fling around all these great wordings and everything, but what are we really doing here? How do we know that it's safe to have relations with a ghost? Because if it's not so safe to be just randomly having relations with humans, how is it safe to just go, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a couple glasses of wine, I'm gonna light my candles from the mall, and I'm totally gonna go see if I can't get somebody to come and see me. I don't think so. Somehow I'm just like, how does this even work? And trying to wrap my head around it. It's like, so these two ladies go on in this blog to talk about how they're best friends and they have an interest in the paranormal or whatever. And the one has a boyfriend, the one doesn't have a boyfriend. And the boyfriend's cool with it because he's like, that's never going to happen, so whatever. And they're talking about this blatantly, like I said, I don't even know how to. I mean, this was in 2017, and they're talking about spectrophilia, which is an actual terminology. So you're a ghost groupie that wants to have relations with a ghost. Okay, I get that. But once again, the phone number to call into the show today is 202-559-7943. We're talking about phantom lovers. I mean, there's been lots of people talking about doing this, or even parodies about the subject. But to be as cavalier to actually go in and use a line in your own blog about a public blog that's been repeatedly read about saying that she's going to F some ghosts. And I'm like, how do you even say that? To me, that's a little bit disrespectful, but that's just me. That's my own thing. I'm like, I wouldn't be going out saying that I was going to do that. If I'm lucky, if I got a nibble on the end of my fishing pole, I'd be like, woo, yay, somebody came to the party. But I wouldn't be like cavalier about it. But apparently these two ladies went to a well-known psychic witch. And this witch psychic told them that this is how they could do this and gave her these Ghost 101 sex tips. And these are searchable on the internet. It's like, I'm going to lay these out for you because I couldn't believe it. But these are the most recent ones that I thought were intriguing. Guidelines. Know that it's real. Okay. Well, if it wasn't real, why would you be going to the candle company in the mall and getting your red candles and then Hot Topic or whatever to get sage? I have no idea what they were thinking. But it says to take it seriously and be as goofy as you want and have tons of fun. Well, I guess fun is the object, but you never know. It could be something completely different by the end. Know your belief system. Well, wouldn't you want to be familiar with your belief system prior to this? Because if you're going to be seeking out ghosts, it's kind of important that you know the difference between good and bad in a way. And then I realize those are also very relative terms as well. But you could be summoning or ending up with something that may not be so friendly, because you're not always going to get Casper, and I guarantee that one. You could end up with something that's completely out of line. And there's nothing in the handbook that says that all ghosts are gentlemen or, ladies. Because, come on, incubus and succubus, those are legit demon terms. And if you're not familiar, please look it up, because I guarantee you don't want those either. But with that belief system, and they go and say, who are you going to call if you get scared? Well, you're not going to call anybody, because your phone should not be next to you. What are you going to do? Instagram a photo of you and your ghost getting it on? Oh, I don't see that happening. But like I said, stranger things have happened. You never know. But they're saying the belief system again with God, your angels, your guides, your higher self, your cat. If I was doing that, chances are I wouldn't want my cat in the room. Just saying. Don't get scared. Well, that's just basic. Don't get scared. That's even if you're just investigating, don't get scared, because not only could you get hurt, but what are you doing this for if not to push some limits and do some research and maybe get some results? Because you're not going to get the results you want if you don't stick it out. That probably came out wrong. If you don't stick around. There you go. They're saying fear will do two negative things: prevent it from happening, or bring the wrong kind of energy, a darker energy that will feed on your fear. Okay. Know that this is our realm of existence. You can know that this is your realm of existence all you want, but knowing that you have many things that come and go into this existence as many times as they want to, repeatedly, is more something that you want to know, because it's not just ghosts that come here. And I really don't like the word ghosts, but it's general. Now they're talking about personal space and setting the scene. It's like if you would do like a date night or something with your significant other, or setting up something with somebody that you're just getting to know. Of course, you're going to want to have ambiance and the whole nine, but I mean, wouldn't you want to have like a whatever your religious preference is, and maybe, I know you can't use like a Trollbegon spray or anything like that for that, or maybe have holy water. I don't know. But you'd be asking yourself these questions: is how much of this stuff do I really need? But that you talk about how to not burn sage. It's like, why would you not burn sage? But okay. defining your space and personal boundaries. But why would you have any personal boundaries if you want something to come and have relations with you? It's like, you can do this, but you can't do this. Are you going to explain? Are you going to lay that out? You're going to spend 25 minutes with a chart and graphs? What if the ghost doesn't speak English? What if the ghost has never been a human and doesn't know any better? You never know. Doing breathing exercises. I don't even know where this comes from. Visualizing your ghostly lover. And like I said, I didn't write this. I can't even make this up. I wish that I was. Now, I get it. I totally get it. But why would you be if I could talk today, visualizing something that you essentially have A, never seen, and B, don't know what's going to happen. So you're doing a cause and effect kind of thing. So you're going to have to be cool with whatever comes through and not budge should that thing want to bite your face off when it gets there. And then do a lot of happy tap dancing around that. Just saying. But these ladies go on and they talk about how they do this and they do that. And they go into what they're wearing. And the one that doesn't have a boyfriend currently, she's all talking about how if she can't commit to wearing, let's just say, lingerie for a male or female partner, that she's not going to commit to a ghost. So she's just going to wear jeans and a t-shirt. It's like, so you're not going to make it romantic for the other party either way. So you're just going to say that you're copping out and getting a ghost lover because that's going to be easier for you. Okay. A+ for experiments, I guess. If that's the only part of experimental that you know, I guess spring break. They're adding chanting to this besides the deep breathing. I mean, something short of, and what's the wordage here? Come to me, loving spirits. Loving spirits? Like a loving kind of Boys to Men kind of thing, or as in a 9 Inch Nails Closer kind of way? I don't know. If I had to spin the wheel, I'm pretty sure most of you know where I'd want that to land. Once again, the call-in number is 202-559-7943, and I'm happy to take any of your questions or if you have any stories or anything else at this time. But we're down in the conversation in this one blog where it's the two ladies that are trying to invoke spiritual contact and talking about hoping to feel sensations. It's like we don't get to the part where what they're actually doing, just the part that they're in the spots that they've created and that they're ready for whatever or down for whatever, I guess. And so you're supposed to start feeling sensations or hearing things or noticing orbs or shadows or pressure. I love this. Pressure on the body. How generic can you be? Pressure. Some of us can only hope that happens. I mean, wow. It's like, wouldn't you want to meditate into something and maybe be a little bit more heightened into the sense of self to maybe garner a feeling of the sort? I'm just saying, it's like a rhetorical question, I guess. It's like, why wouldn't you, besides lighting your mall quality candles and incense and getting into the mood how you believe it should be, shouldn't you be asking yourself if you should know yourself spiritually and mentally a little better before you delve into anything of the sort? I don't know. I know that I personally would want to be really solid in my personal convictions and where I'm at. And I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm just saying that I would have done a lot more research rather than asking some person who does know what she's talking about, but gave you the answers that you wanted. And then saying, oh, just go on and have this experience. The experience that people have been trying to have for how many thousands of years now? Experiences up to and leading to maybe a nirvana type state, some of these. But these people are just wanting to have it off with a ghost. Okay, And I want to go to Disneyland without children. It's a goal. So we're talking about physical sensations. And so how are you going to weed through to have all these physical sensations if you're not really concentrating is my question. Talking about pressure, feeling soft touches, and different forms of sexual stimulation. How are you going to get to stimulation if there's nobody with you? Question. So you're going to jump from point A to point B to J without anybody there. Okay. So we don't know that effectively anybody's there yet. Throughout your encounter, you're supposed to communicate with the spirit to make sure everything is mutual. By this point, excuse me, by this point, you would think that you already have laid that out. If there's in fact a spirit there, and you two are by that time getting to know each other a little more than intimately, that you would have already spoken about that. Not, oh, wait a minute, hang on, hold that thought. No, I just don't understand why you would stop it once it started because you wanted to lay down the law. That's a little late, isn't it? Questions? And then when it's over, thanking the spirit. Thank you, come again. Yes. I'm so glad that you decided to come and spend quality time with my body. It's like, okay. I would be like, it just makes it sound so trivial. It's like if I had a deity or some other spiritual person that wanted to spend that kind of time with me, that would be amazing. And I wouldn't be like, number one, writing a fluffy blog about it. And that's just my personal opinion. Something that's super extra fluffy and very, I mean, Barbie could, I think, do a little bit better job about this. But the thank you and then closing the veil or portal, but they didn't even talk about opening a portal. So how are you going to close something that you don't know whether you opened or not? And then verbally stating that all the entities must leave and you're closing the veil. So what are you closing it with effectively? And then with instructions, they didn't really give too many instructions or anything. And then the friend is talking about how she was picturing the spirit to be a certain way. And I don't know how, I know that we all have our different bases for what we think is hot So what we think is sexually exciting. I know I have mine. Everybody has theirs, but this person decides that they think that she wanted to have ghost sex with somebody resembling a middle-aged version of Louisa May Alcott. Not judging. Maybe Louisa May Alcott is incredibly hot to you. To me, it's a great historical figure, but other than that, I don't know that I'd go to coffee with her, but that's probably about it. But the expectation is like they're setting up all these expectations and the things that they want to do, but they're not really laying it out. So if you were to actually do any of this, I mean, what would you do? Would you, number one, would you really want to have that kind of experience? I know that if I would invite an experience like that. But it's something that I would like to have an opportunity to prepare for, because the one that I had, definitely I was not prepared for. When I got up from my experience, I got hit by a truck, but terribly disappointed that this truck didn't leave his phone number. Haven't heard from him since. But I have this feeling that if I were to meet this person, if this person is an actual person, that maybe I'm meant to know what that person feels like, and that I'm supposed to know that that's the person. That could be it. I could be wrong, but it's been emblazoned like in my head, like it was yesterday or 2 seconds ago, that I can tell you against my hands what this person felt like. I couldn't see their face, but I could feel them. So has anybody else had any experiences like this, or dreams that are more than a dream, or you feel that it might have been more than that? Katie, is there any questions?
And with that said, we do have a question that came into the chat room from Sean. So what happens when you summon a spirit for relations and it turns wrong?
Sean, I can only really guess how that is actually handled, and I would have to say, in my realm of experience, if that went sideways, I would definitely try to be as prepared as I could be. But even with that, I don't know that you would be safe from being all too prepared with something like that, because we're dealing with forces that we think that we know, like I mentioned on Dr. Ira's show, that we believe that we know, but do we really? Do we really know the nature of the beast? Is it a beast? Is it something that used to be human? Is it a demon? Is it a big demon? Is it a little demon? Is it like a parasite? There's all kinds of questions that go with that as well. It's like, because paranormal is such a huge, broad spectrum of events, people, places, things, and you can just keep adding to that. Go ahead. Everything okay. I'm just making sure. I thought I heard pause there for a second. But as far as in my end, being prepared, I would be prepared with, the usual things that I prepare myself with, like somebody who has different beliefs would be preparing themselves as well, because most of us as investigators are prepared for stuff like that. That's why I'm saying, why would people post public blogs about fluffy contingency plans or lack thereof? It's just like, girl, what are you doing? It's like, you're going to open your body up. It's like this woman, her friend doesn't want to even have a boyfriend, or doesn't have a boyfriend, doesn't want to make time for a romantic relationship, but she's totally going to leave herself open for a random ghost to just go up and go, hey, baby, and not know what she gets. So, like I said, most of us would try to be as prepared for anything as possible, but these people don't sound like they're altogether too concerned about being prepared for things. I'm all about being prepared for as much as you can be prepared for. So I hope that answers your question, Sean. Thank you. Anybody else?
I actually have one. Now,
okay.
If we go back in history and we talk about, there is a big community of, believers in terms of paranormal sexual encounters. They would be otherwise known as spectrophilia, right?
Yes.
Okay. So these are not just restricted to ghosts. They are also also opened up to sex with Satan, phantom fornication, obscene phone calls from the dead, and amorous other phenomena that go. But I just want to bring up a little bit of history, which I found quite interesting. And it's called The Devil Made Me Do It. And it's actually from the invisible demon in the entity, an alleged true story of a woman molested by a paranormal entity, to the father of Rosemary's baby, Satan. Lusty demons abound in books and movies. Demon lovers are also featured prominently in Western mythology, most notably the incubus and the succubus.
Mm-hmm.
As exorcist Bob Larson explains, an incubus is a demon assuming human physical dimensions and sexually cohabiting with a woman. Succubus is the counterpart, when the demon assumes female proportions and actually co-inhabits with a man. One belief in Christian demonology is that demons shapeshift into succubi to collect sperm from human males before morphing into incubi to impregnate the female humans. Now, Carl Sagan actually showed that supernatural lovers actually feature in mythology of other cultures too, including the Arabian jinns,
yes,
Greek satyrs, Hindu
yes,
boots, and Celtic Dusi.
Mm-hmm.
Some are hybrid creatures, while Dusi can also supposedly impregnate both women and non-human female animals. Male skeptics need to fear the Popo Bawa, a demon that has a preference for sodomizing non-believers. They call this beast the skeptic raping demon Zanzibar. However, locals don't believe that the Popo Bawa any more than the Americans, other than Bob Larson, believe the incubi and the succubi to this very day. The Skeptics Dictionary, Robert Carroll, observes that alien abduction accounts offer a modern-day version of demon lovers given victims claims of sexual abuse and anal probes. I find that very, very interesting. So that of what we know as maybe extraterrestrial visitations may in fact actually be something that's been known for centuries on end.
Yes.
We just call it something different because it's alien.
Yes, and actually in my research I came across Papaboa, and there is a lot of phenomenal tales about this demon dude who really likes to put the literal fear of Jesus into people who don't believe. And it's like, oh, so you're going to tell me that demons and other things of the sort don't walk the earth, and you're going to talk stuff about us? So get over here. I'm going to show you something. This guy's been doing this for thousands of years, and actually the last incidents that I actually found was in 2016, was a documented report of a townsperson who was talking a bunch of smack, religious smack, who'd actually been gone, came back, was spreading the love, and got loved. That's definitely not love, and would mess anybody up. But once you've seen an entity of that caliber, it will really put a healthy fear of what can happen into you and why you should be prepared. Why people like myself even don't speak ill of the dead and just don't be talking smack in general, because things can just blow up in your face. Literally. Was there anything else, Katie?
No, I just found that quite interesting. I was having a little bit of a read myself, so
right.
I thought I'd throw that in there.
I know.
If I think of anything, I will definitely let you know.
Oh yeah, this guy is prolific in every sense of the word. You do not want to make this guy your enemy. I wouldn't be worshiping him or anything like that, but I wouldn't want to be making him mad either. Did you see the specs on this guy?
No.
He's gigantic in every sense of the word. You would not want to make this person come at you.
Wow.
And there's so many different ways that people have had encounters with this deity. And I'm surprised that Western civilization hasn't heard more about him, considering that the claims go to recent time. In fact, if we were to do a little bit more digging, we probably would find more recent things. So it's just mind-blowing. So, yeah. Excuse me. So,
do you know,
every time you go ahead.
I find it very, very interesting when there are people out there, especially paranormal hunters, that will actually recommend, and I don't know if this is true for you or what you've heard and what you've done in the past. There are ghost hunters that actually believe that you should abstain from having sex after a stakeout.
Really?
To prevent here's the thing, to prevent from infecting their partner with any supernaturally transmitted diseases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, being the fact that I haven't currently had a partner in that caliber for a super long time, that I don't think about that. But the only thing I think about before I go on an investigation is that I usually have been kind of eating super light, or not really eating, but just making sure I'm hydrated. Because usually we're out in the middle of nowhere. Safety first. Make sure that you've got all your equipment, and because usually when we go to lockdown or investigation mode, we're there for days. We're camped out, and you're in the middle of absolutely nowhere with nowhere to go. So the last thing that on my mind is after I'm done is, I'm sorry, honey, we're not going to do anything. It's like, I don't have anybody to really say that to. So I'm not going to think about it. Have I heard anybody ever say that? I've heard like one instance of it, but nobody ever really elaborated why that would be bad. But it also goes back to the whole, well, if you wouldn't have sex with a random stranger and spin that wheel like at a bar, why would you do that with a ghost or a discorporeal person or demon or God? Why would you want to even go to that? And how do you know we don't get paranormal cooties? We don't really know. So
at that point, I think we'd probably be more on the verge of possession in a way. But, you know, given the statement that I just made about, you know, what this person actually recommends is, and they are so ludicrous to say that they actually have some home remedies to cure the conditions that come from infection. It's like, oh my God, now you're going into the realm of ghostly STDs.
What kind of ghostly STDs are we going to be having here? Like ghostly VD? I mean,
what I like to know.
It's like I need some ghostly penicillin for that. It's like I can only imagine, because the stuff that people are reporting that they've actually done is everything under the broad spectrum that I've actually read about with actual other human beings. So you've got the luck of the draw here. So I guess it's up to the ghost or whoever you're having your spiritual experience with that decides what's going to actually happen, or between you and that deity and the things that you agree with. But how are you going to agree to anything other than intent? You know, because wait, now that you're here, let me bring up this big laundry list.
Well, not only that, phantom lovers in that respect, they don't have any manners, and there is no courtship. There is no amorous,
bam, bam.
You know, the amorous spirits just simply slip into bed with the victim of their choosing, and I'm going to use victim, and they just do what they got to do. And apparently ghostly lovers are, you know, especially those lovelorn spirits with the same urges that they had in their own lives, they just simply don't know that they're dead still. So what do you get in the case of, you know, this is the negative effect of it. What do you get in the case of someone who is a rapist, or someone who's molested, or someone who is a pedophile?
Right.
What happens when you are, you know, you may, you know, think it's all fun and games until you don't know what's there, and you're suddenly being violently shook in a bed.
Yeah.
Or wherever.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know, and don't expect there to be, you know, all lovely, luscious feelings, because those people who do, you know, who do come across a phantom lover that, you know, just kind of casually slips in the bed and just happens to have that ghost or entity has a background which we do not know about, and we probably never will know about. And you wonder why you have bruises down the lower part of your body, or scratches on your arms or your back or your chest. And there's no way to explain it because we were sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And you were aroused by the fact. Do you know that Anna Nicole Smith, before she died, actually had an alleged experience with a spectral Casanova?
Yes. Yeah, she said something about she felt that it would like crawl up her leg.
Yeah, so here's the story. I actually do have it. So
Cool.
a ghost would crawl up her leg and would have sex with her at an apartment a long time ago in Texas. She used to think that it was her boyfriend until one day she woke up and it wasn't. It was like a spirit, and woo, she mimics, and when she says this, when she's describing it, she mimes a ghost flying from underneath her sheets. And the sheets went up. She was freaked out about it, and then she was like, well, you know what? He's never hurt me, and it gave me some of the most amazing sex, so I have no problem.
Yeah, so go ahead and rape me? I don't think so. And you thought it was your boyfriend, so your boyfriend. I'm sorry, I have to interject with this. So your boyfriend takes advantage of you when you're sleeping. That's a whole nother type of messed up right there. Unless that's something that you guys like to play out, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like she just is used to letting people just do what they want. That's not an okay thing.
Yeah, so that was the story that she actually told. She said that she used to think it was her boyfriend until she woke up and saw her sheets flying, and she was freaked out about it. And then she's like, "Well, it's never hurt me. I got no problem. Why not?" She'd
well,
obviously
how did she
must
know
have had
that it didn't hurt her? Maybe it did.
Maybe. Well, we all know that Anna Nicole Smith, wasn't she? Her head was screwed up because she addict.
Yeah,
I
not just that, but being abused by a lot of people. And I mean, I can only think that she had a fair amount of darkness in her own life that she had to work out on a daily basis, considering some of the life choices. I mean, I realize that all of us have these choices to make, but we're not all in the limelight when that happens. And that when you're under a huge spotlight, it's like being under a magnascope. So everybody that you know is going to make a judgment call. Well, not everybody, but most people will. And then tell you how they would have done differently. Now, that messes up your head.
Oh, it really does. And when you're inviting, it's almost as if you're inviting it and not realizing what the consequences are going to be. In the, hey, maybe she got sick and got a phantom STD. Who knows?
No. Mommy, make it stop. No.
Hey, well, what I would like to know is, if there's any callers out there, and that has ever heard any stories of paranormal phantom love around Valentine's Day.
Yeah, around Hallmark Day.
Yeah.
But like I said, with my experience, because I actually did a fair amount of research about that, because I'm like, this is not the average experience. So is this an experience that I'm supposed to learn something from? Or is this something that maybe the spirit took pity on me, I guess? I don't know. But that was, I would have to say, if I were to rate that, I would say that's in the top 3 of my entire life. And it was with somebody that wasn't even in existence to my knowledge. Is that not messed up?
Oh, it's messed up.
that is messed up. And for somebody to not even be there, but I totally know that they were there. It's like, wow. Because when I was getting up for him, and I'm like, should I be incensed by this? Should I be upset? But I was enjoying every second of it, to be quite honest.
Well,
it didn't feel like it was not consensual.
Well, in a way, no one's ever actually presented anything other than only anecdotal evidence for paranormal sexual encounters.
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever been impregnated by a ghost.
That we know of.
Unless we call it the Virgin Mary, and it's Immaculate Conception. But that's a whole nother story. But, there is no single story, and there is no single explanation for any of these claims whatsoever. I mean, you got pranks, obviously. There's going to be, barring the pranks, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of possible natural explanations that can be posited. But the biggest clue of the experience itself only occur at night when the victim is in bed And that in itself suggests that you could possibly be just having an erotic dream or an hallucination that has actually taken place. Now, such hallucinations may actually be associated with a phenomenon known as sleep paralysis, however, otherwise known as a waking nightmare.
Which also borders on, because of what I brought up earlier, the fear and terror that happens is also borderline on your adrenaline rush you get when you're absolutely excited out of your brain.
Yeah, and so you've got narcolepsy happening.
Mm-hmm.
And narcolepsy, on top of that, narcolepsy can also have, you can have sex without knowing about it when you're still completely sleeping.
Yeah. Well, I get touched all the time, and like I've alluded to it, but I don't allow the touching, because you can tell when a touch is sexual in nature, and that happens to be a lot, and it usually starts like on my arm, around my chest, or down on my leg, and you can feel it. And I usually put the kibosh on that as soon as I feel it, and I'm like, stop now. Not okay. It's like, if you want to like continue your existence as a happy little ghost or whatever you are, or have me introduce you to what I do, no, you're going to stop touching me inappropriately. Now, I've been touched like that camping out at old homes or foundations for purposes of, investigation. I have been touched in cars that are like, I've been in the backseat of somebody's van, and we were coming back from an investigation, and all of a sudden I was, how you're listening to your headphones or whatever, and I started to feel like I thought somebody's messing with me, because, you work with a group of people for a long period of time, you start messing with each other because everybody's tired and we're all trying to stay awake a little bit. And I thought somebody was legitimately touching me for no reason. And I'm like, Donnie, stop that now. That's not funny. I didn't even open my eyes, and Donnie and John are looking at me like I didn't do anything. Our hands are right here. Because I was going to smack somebody in the face, because that wasn't cool. There was nobody there. And I had fingerprints on my ankle. Actually, I have pictures of it. I get fingerprints every so often. Like, after the encounter that I had, the only bruising that I had was on the inside of my right wrist. So, I don't know why. It just happened.
Anyway, as I was saying, we all know that sleep paralysis, sleepwalking is an interruption of the REM stage of sleep. But the only reason why I bring it up is because it actually can present a wide range of visual, auditory, and tactile hallucinations, and that it may explain the many alleged paranormal encounters from ghost sightings, vampires, alien abductions that can actually happen in this situation. But did you know the sleep paralysis is occasionally known as old hag syndrome?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's taken from the superstitious belief that an old hag sits on top of her victim's chest while he or she sleeps. The hag renders them immobile and breathless, and indeed many sufferers experience a sense of suffocation. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Guy de Maupassant. He wrote an episode of about sleep paralysis in his novel La Horla, and this is the experience that he described in his book. I sleep for a while, 2 or 3 hours, then a dream, no, a nightmare seizes me in its grip. I know full well that I am lying down and that I am asleep. I sense it and I know it. I am also aware that somebody is coming up to me, looking at me, running his fingers all over me, climbing onto my bed, kneeling on my chest, taking me by the throat and squeezing, with all its might trying to strangle me. I struggle, but I am tied down by this dreadful feeling of helplessness which paralyzes us in our dreams. I want to cry out, but I can't. I want to move, but I can't do it. I try making these terrible, strenuous efforts, gasping for breath, to turn onto my side and throw this creature who is crushing me and choking me, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly, I wake up, panic-stricken, covered in sweat. I light a candle. I am alone.
Wow. That's profound. I like that. I mean, I don't like it, but it's very interesting.
Another example is Oxcam's razor.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one that you could apply the whole principle of just a dream,
Right.
That it's it begs the question: did he or she just simply have an erotic dream or just a hallucination? Like I said, there is no proof. There's no proof to any of the phantom lovers, let alone ghost encounters and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And it does beg to differ whether alien encounters or alien abductions to have the alien encounter is nothing but a dream as well. So, if there was absolute proof, I might beg to differ, but that proof has to be have at least a single explanation or be defined by something that can be factual, not just I thought or had an experience by.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do we rationalize any understanding that an erotic dream may be problematic for some people? However, attributing sexual dreams or sexual thoughts through supernatural force is maybe a guiltless absolution for moral objections?
I don't have that kind of moral objection, so I don't fit in that square.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's a small minority of people who, they're all okay with it. But there's this other group that it's a bit like alien probing. Similar, similar thing. I mean, I at this point, with this whole topic, I'm starting to see aliens and ghostly encounters or paranormal, supernatural
stuff.
They're all the same thing.
Kinda.
It's starting to, come as one. Now, the other thing is I find interesting too is that how many of these people, who do have phantom lovers are actually true life lovers, i.e., husband and wife situation.
Mm-hmm.
Husband dies or wife dies, and they want their husband or wife to come back to them.
Right, and I actually found several instances of widows or widowers that swear that they're a couple of times a year, or sometimes there's one instance where it's a widower that sees his wife on the regular and they do their thing. Okay. That's awesome that she never left you, dude. So
it was meant to be. And that's why I brought up Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, Cupid runs rampant around Valentine's Day. And there's a lot of mythology and lore that covers Valentine's Day.
Yes, absolutely. Because I need a Hallmark card on the 14th of February every freaking year, because you know what? If your significant lover, your significant other loves you enough, you don't need that day to exist. That's my point. It's like, why are all these instances of suicide and heartbreak always happen around certain times of the year, or, like wedding season in June, or February 14th, or these other things? Because people get these grandiose ideas of what's romantically okay. So this suits the norm. So we're going to roll with this, like destination weddings in the middle of freaking June and July in Florida. after the sun has already risen. It's like, you know how crazy that is? You know how hot it is in Florida? You know how many people I know have almost died at weddings because it's so hot on the beach? Choices, people. You're affecting everybody else with your choices. It's like, just for your pictorial opportunities, you're welcome. But other than that, I just don't understand how people have got to wrap their heads around, oh, but I've got to get married here, or I've got to have this to be happy, or I'm going to go and put spectral romance or spectral sex off of my list because that's what I want to do, because I want to just, that's like stranger danger. It's like, why don't you just go pick up some dude or girl at the bar and have it off? I mean, at that point, at least you can control some of that situation if you're invoking something or evoking, which I've looked a fair amount into because, like I said, I've got people who do it all the time for different reasons and seasons. Like people who are into directional sorcery will do things like that. It's a bargaining chit. So do we have proof of it? I would say I know people who do. And I wouldn't argue with those people because those people are fairly prolific at what they do. And is it a cult? Yeah, but it's a large part science. And bargaining with a lesser or larger deity, depending on your word scope, it depends on the things that you actually deem to be a correct thing to do. How would I do it? It would certainly depend on the reason I would be doing it. Because do I want to like stick my tongue into a moving metal fan blade? No. The answer would be no all the way around on that. So do I want to play Russian roulette with something that is strong enough to do something that maybe make me mental or gone so dark and so far that maybe I might do something to myself or that allow that thing to drive me into the ground because I opened myself to it? Once again, choices. Because there's people that can legitimately control things like that. But for the most part, most of us wouldn't know what to do if something like that landed on our face and wiggled. Obviously. Wouldn't be prepared. Because there's some things holy water is just not going to get rid of. I mean, it's going to slap it for a little second. But what's going to happen when it shrugs that off and comes at you like a freight train? Because that's what it's going to feel like. That you're getting hit by something hard and fast. Because it knows that it can take you off guard. So why would you want to deem yourself absolutely helpless to something that you're not familiar with? Or even if you are familiar with it, that's still Russian roulette, isn't it? I mean, because you never know if you're going to get the same one twice. I mean, if you take, like, the woman, if anybody's ever read the book, The Entity. Now, Taft and his students actually, and all these other people that got involved with this case, took this woman was being brutally raped. She was already a victim that had been out of a recent situation and was in a situation with another male, was living with the male, and their situation was not the greatest. But she was also a single mom and going through the motions of all of the things that go along with that, like trying to get employment, trying to fix her car and all the stresses. And then she'd find herself getting ready for bed and then thrown down on the bed and raped by an unseen force. And it was so entirely violent that she would have blood running down her legs and scratches and bite marks. Her own son and daughters witnessed this. This is one of the largest cases that we actually have photographic evidence of. I mean, not the act itself, but bruising and marks, witness accounts of things happening. Because this thing even attacked her in her best friend's house because she tried to get away from it. And then through the few years that they actually were able to research this thing, they were able to isolate it and find out that it was possible that this thing was just a big ball of energy. But even then, we don't know. Is she still plagued by this thing? Yeah. She's actually given accounts that it's never completely gone away. She's seen lights. She hears voices. but she's not violently raped every day like she used to be. But can you run from something like that once it started? The question's still out. It's like, why would you want to open yourself up to something that powerful or give that something power like that over you? Do we have any more questions or a phone call or anything?
Not at this moment, but it does bring up a good point. Do people actually bring, cast spells to invoke this to happen?
Yes, they do. Like I said, there's reasons, and I won't give those reasons because they're pretty personal. But let's just say that a lot of them are gain related. So I'm going to use points to try to entice something over into my area to do my bidding, correct? So not only am I going to do the traditional things that go along with that, but I'm going to entice it with a human aspect that it may be longing for, because they're all about a human experience. A good lot of them are anyway. So I'm going to offer up, I'm not saying me, I'm just saying in general, I'm going to offer up my body to this entity and render myself to it to satiate any kind of need that it may have, not regarding any of my own personal needs, and hoping that this thing's not going to tear me up to get what I want. Have I seen it happen? Yeah. Has it been successful? Yeah. But at what cost? What cost? I mean, if I were to do something like that, it would have to be something huge, but I don't believe in trying to manipulate things in that way, because there's so many things that can go wrong. You know, I'm a safety girl. I like to live a little dangerous, but just make sure that there's, I can veer from the corners a little bit and not like stab myself in the thigh as I walk by. Because some of these things because just like people, demons and other entities have personality traits. They smell different. They feel different. Some of them even have a taste. And to be around them is really quite something, where you're pared down to the smallest creature that you could possibly be, trying to wrap your head around these things and I don't really mean to use the terminology things, because they're not something that has been human. So I don't really know if demon is the correct word I'm looking for. But they're not really a parasite. They're like a office worker that's kind of dangerous, I guess. Well, not even kind of. Some of these things will take a baseball bat to your soul. I mean, what are you surrendering to and why you're doing it? Your wheres and whys become fairly important at this point. It's like, am I going to have to answer for this? That's a good question. Am I going to have to allow myself to be maimed physically and mentally for this? That's a very distinct possibility, because you've already maimed yourself to open the portal or the gateways. And to start that process is huge, huge. So you get to be, I have a fair amount of friends from different spectrums of the walk of life here. And ultimately, your choice is your choice. So I can't tell you whether the choices are good, the choices are bad. However, I can tell you I've seen the result of some of those choices, and some of them aren't very healthy. Some people can handle that, but for the most part, I would say a good 78-80% of people wouldn't be able to handle that in a heartbeat. And that's how quick you need to be able to keep something from going sideways and have it be not physically, mentally, psychologically taxing on you for the rest of your absolute life, however long that may be. Because some of these things are out to damage you. Absolutely. They don't give a fig about you. They care about their immediate needs. And so you're giving them something to carry out something. And they're very clear about it. They're like, well, we know. So what are you going to give us in return? And then you have to be on it and make sure that it's something that is going to be returned, because they also know that humans are lazy. So are they going to be on it and keep them in check? Because you're dealing also with forces that, for the most part, have some rules, but some people don't realize that they do. So there's ways to keep them in check too. So was there any questions?
No, but if you want to take a break, you can.
No, I was going to say the call-in number is 202-559-7943. I would be delighted to hear from anybody about this, or if you have any questions that you would like me to answer, or if you have a story of your own, go ahead and feel free to give a call. The lines are open for you to give a call to. And on that, Katie, I guess we'll go to break for a few moments, and we'll be back with Tripping the Void. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on LateNightInTheMidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
Data. The sensors can't penetrate the planet's ionosphere. There's too much interference. Can you find a way to scan for life forms?
I would be happy to, sir. I just love scanning for life forms. Life forms. You tiny little life forms. You precious little life forms. Where are you?
Even the ETs know this is the place to be. LNM Radio Network.
You can listen to the LNM Radio Network 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the Paranormal Radio app. Available from LNMRadioNetwork.com or TalkStreamLive.com on both Android and Apple. Our call to listen line is open 24/7. Dial 701-719-9704 so you can listen on the go.
Ever wanted to be sure your robot slave was behaving? Is Echo getting out of control and meeting with Alexa when you're not around? You need RoboGrog. RoboGrog is the new product from Snooze You Lose, the company that also brought you the fine products of Flog a Horse and Calm You Down Now. RoboGrog will put your robotic minions to sleep, bringing their AI a sense of peace and comfort. It does this by sending bolts of electricity straight where the sun doesn't shine. Get RoboGrog today at any fine retailer and set yourself free from the devices that bind you.
You can't just throw someone into prison and silence their warning because you don't agree with them. You don't have to like my methods or what I stand for. Silencing me won't make the problem go away. It will just whittle away at the ability of people to be ready for the real threats. And when the worst happens, and it will, maybe you can take comfort in protecting the people from a dangerous radical who wanted to tell them the truth.
Tired of searching for great talk and great information? Look no more. LNM Radio Network, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Back home, there's a growing pro-Earth movement. Rumors of hate groups targeting aliens. And on all sides, the fanatics think that society has to be protected against anyone who's different. Starting to wonder if what we just saw is a preview of things to come.
No, I can't believe we'd be that foolish.
Santayana. Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it.
and welcome back to Tripping the Void with me, Saraphine Hurley. Once again, the call-in number for our show today on, well, ghostly, paranormal, phantasmic lovers today. So we're basically bridging the spectrum from A to B. We're currently on talking about demons and people being plagued with them and offering themselves to them in exchange for whatever they're trying to get out of them. My call-in number is 202-559-7943. If you'd like to call in, the lines are open. This is a live show, and I am available. So if you'd like to ask me any questions or share your experience, that would be awesome. And if not, we'll just continue here. With that, talking about the demons and your exchanges and stuff, one of the other themes that I keep running into is spectral predators. It's not just ghosts. A lot of times it's demons, but we're also talking about other instances that bridge on, like I said, there's really no words. It's like, wow, that some of this could actually happen, where how do you know that we're not being preyed on by something other than what we know at that point? Because when one or more people actually report an incident and the incident seems to follow under a certain point, and all the points seem to be very demonic, or like somebody told me that they believe they had sex with an angel, and I'm like, okay, are you going to elaborate on that? And it was, I guess, this being of light, and went in to talk about how he went from being a regular human being into this being of light, and they had a beautiful experience, I guess. And like, okay, that's all well and good. And then a question from the room was talking, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so that's my bad, but talking about people having seizures or anything else that might negate things that happened on an investigation. And has it happened? Yes, people have had seizures and stuff, but I've actually seen people be affected by forces either unknown or allergies that they didn't know that they had, and end up with a seizure experience, or they start hallucinating. And so we have to level the field again and pare down and make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, and essentially making sure that the person's experience wasn't sullied by the actions or the reactions from them getting violently ill all of a sudden, or if they were actually tapped by an unforeseen or unseen force, because we don't know that either. So you've got A and B, and sometimes C in the middle, or A dot B is at ZA1. So there's never a cut and dry answer. I wish that there was, but since this is paranormal stuff, there's never going to be the cut and dried unless we have like 85 million of the same, and that there's pictures and people and documents to back it all up, because this subject is so entirely all over the place. It's crazy. Did we get any other questions from the room, Katie?
No, I think that was it.
Not
so
at this
far.
time?
Yes.
All right. So they're talking about how, since predators have been predators, and this is going back more than 4,000 years ago when we were starting to write about all this lovely stuff. So is some of this stuff being elaborated on, or is these actual true accounts, like the deities that they believe, like Osiris coming in and having ritualistic sex with a priestess, which the account is beautiful, but you have to stop and think about it for a second. Is this poetry? Is this an actual situation where that actually did happen? Or is this a fantastical story that I can just keep reading and reading over and over without guilt because it didn't happen? You know? I mean, how many things are actually based on fact? Like you were saying that, Katie, that when we were talking about situations earlier, it's like we have a lot of things that are unfounded. I mean, we can get all of the information that we want or need, but essentially, at the end of the day, did we really prove our point? Not really. I mean, we can write fantastic sentences and we can use all the proper grammar that we want, but if we don't have hard evidence, what do we have? So what do? We go out at the next opportunity and hope to get that, or to get something so entirely off the wall different that it's going to disprove either what just happened, or it's going to prove without a doubt that something else happened, if that makes any sense. And so we run into the realm from, I've got people that tell me that aliens are demons, that they believe that interdimensional traveling aliens are demons, which I'm not trying to laugh about, but which could be true. But in the things that I've actually realized in my life, I've not encountered that. But could it happen? Yeah, I'm not poo-pooing it at all. I've had people give me accounts of being abducted and probed and impregnated and have the baby taken out of them, and then they just basically get used as a broodmare and back and forth. And the same has happened to men, where they're used for the parts. So I can only imagine how that feels, because obviously I was not made male for reasons unknown, probably good ones. I'm thinking, but and then you get into everything just kind of hurls back, bounces into itself, goes back, bounces back into another court, and then rolls entirely into something completely different, and then makes its way back over. It's like, so we don't get the opportunity to come absolutely full circle, but does it make some kind of pattern? It does. It does, in fact, make a pattern, but it never becomes a full circle. We have people like Mary Shelley and other Gothic horror writers that actually took having fantastic experiences with ghosts or monsters or demons and turned it into something Gothic romantic. And upon being interviewed, for as much as that could be considered an interview, Mary Shelley talked about the horrors in her life that she'd actually turn into her awesome stories. And I don't know if many people realize the things that she went through. And for those who don't know, Mary Shelley is the one who penned Frankenstein. And at the time, she had penned it under an entirely different name in the beginning, because women really didn't get the opportunity to grow sociodynamically or artistically in any way, because at that point we were still fighting for our rights to not be property and to actually get an education. So you only really got those opportunities if you were aristocracy or somebody cared about you enough to make sure that you got educated, because otherwise you were with all the other women and not worthy of time. So, and I'm not a feminist by any shape, way, means, or form, but that's messed up. And we do still fight for our rights little by little. But with that in mind, I mean, her taking things and talking about them and putting them into a different spin about being with a monster who was in saying having relations with a demon. Now, what was her realm of experience on having sexual relations with a demon? Did she actually have relations with a demon at one point, or someone who she relates, who's relatable to being a demon in her eyes? So do those experiences get turned into other experiences? And then the spin just kind of keeps on spinning until it finally stops or denigrates into something entirely different. And then we have people who talk about, even now, not only worshiping gods, but offering their bodies to them. So I have a female friend who offers herself on the regular, and it's not to something that she believes is a demon. She believes these people are actual or beings. They're not beings of light, that they have, and she can feel that they have a lot more power than anything that she's ever felt before. And she's another person who is also sensitive She's a little more fur out than I am in that regard. But like I said, I'm open-minded to opportunity and such as it presents itself. But I don't know that I would be opening myself up to like a God experience, because so many things could go wrong. I mean, if you look at things like there's a film right now that it's actually a couple of years old now. The song, it's called A Dark Song. And if you're not familiar with how necromancers or sorcerers or Enochian magic even works, and I know they're not the same, but generally on the grand scale of from Mr. Wizard to Merlin, you have to be versed in certain things to be able to pull things off, because it's largely ritualistic, and spells can take a bajillion years to pull off. So somebody will be standing in a casting circle for a month at a time, 6 weeks, and can't move, because every time that person steps out of the circle, they have to restart again, because they need to wait for that sign that it actually worked that last time with that last entry to get that direct result. So they're either going to commune with a god, or they're going to try to commune with a higher ranking angel, like an archangel. And these people don't apparently show up for no reason. So you got to really work at it to get their attention and become deemed worthy, I guess. Go ahead, Katie.
There has no questions yet.
Oh, okay, because I was listening to you there. Sorry. Verbal cue there. But when people are standing there in the casting circle becoming more and more weak, is it because they have essentially become sleepless and are so entirely hungry and weak? There's people that actually died casting these things, because they stand there and they're there for the long haul, because they're going to break themselves trying to get the results that they're looking for. Now, standing outside the circle or into wherever you are, and then trying to get this to happen, I have massive amounts of respect for people that do that, because of what it entails. That you are not only offering yourself to something larger than yourself with trust, that you're just basically hanging yourself out on a meat hook saying, all right, bite me in the hiney, because I'm ready for that kind of action. And then whatever else, should that deity or angel show up, you're down for whatever. And that's opening yourself up for quite a bit. That's a lot of drama right there. So, but A Dark Song is a really good, solid peek into the not so fluffy world of casting for casting's sake. Because I can't really tell you what happens in the in the movie, but I can tell you that a lot of it's fairly, I'm not going to say 100%, because it's not obviously 100%, but it's fairly accurate on the rundown of what it does take to make something of that caliber get pulled off. I'm just going to say that for mothers out there, or people that have had tragic events in their life, this movie might cause a bit of PTSD. The subject matter is quite dark. It is called A Dark Song, and it is a film from Britain. So, but it is definitely worthy of a watch. I know that when I watched the film, it was on Amazon. I don't know if it is still on Amazon, but it's definitely worth a watch if you're curious. Once again, we are live. The call-in number is 202-559-7943. I definitely invite you to ask questions or share your story, or if you have anything else to say, that would be great too. And if you would just rather listen, I'm cool with that as well. So, moving forward, I just will ever be enamored of people that actually put in the time and the heart and the book work to do something larger, irregardless of what your personal beliefs are. And I'm not saying I don't have regard for them. I'm saying that people that decide to better themselves and take a step up as a human person to have a different experience, either mentally or to learn something just for yourself. I mean, I got into this lifestyle because it's the fit that fit me. I didn't choose it. I was born into it. So I just I followed my path and my path followed me the whole way. I couldn't turn away from it, so I had to follow it, because I noticed that anytime I tried to not follow it, it would bite me in the rear. So it was either succumb to who I really was as a person, or just be waving in the wind. And I'm not a waving in the wind kind of girl. I'm more of a let's just do this and get it over with kind of girl. So with all of the investigations bearing, and yes, people do get sick on investigations and things do happen. It's not fantastic all of the time. Sometimes it's allergies. Sometimes people have the flu or get colds. Now, with people seeking out UFO activity and things like that, I have yet to actually see where things don't happen. I've actually shown up at several locations and actually seen the lights in the sky, but I've actually never, that I know of, been abducted myself. Go ahead, Katie.
No messages yet.
Oh, I thought you said something. So anyway, so going down that road, I mean, I've been to Skinwalker Ranch. I've been near and around Area 51. I've seen some incredible. On my way here in the plane, I always am found sitting in a window seat, like either right off the wing or behind it, so that I can have a really good view of the sky, so that I can watch up above and down below. So I'm constantly watching, and on my way here, I saw two objects, and one was not too far away from the other, and they were large enough that they would have been larger than the plane we were flying in, and nobody said anything. I couldn't have been the only person looking out the window. I couldn't have been. So did I really see what I saw, or is it another instance of maybe I was just really tired? Or because right now that's kind of where I'm at. And there's a lot of UFO activity around in Washington. There always has been. Where I live in Florida, there's also a lot of activity. We actually caught a rig that you saw around the world, the one that has UFO response team on it, that actually resides in the county that I live in. So it was actually kind of cool to see that, be parked next to it, and then be driving around and see it. So I'm interested to see who actually owns the vehicle and who drives around in it, because the windows are tinted, so you can't really see who's in there. But it's got a MUFON number on it. I can tell you that. So it's got to be some kind of legit thing, unless somebody can come forward and tell me that it's baloney. So, but when we're speaking about all of this, and remember that when you are invoking things, or even just standing in an investigation situation where you think you've got control and you're going to mess with something and shake its tree a little bit because you want a little bit better of a response from it, I always think, what is going to come of this? Or is something going to come after me after it? Because I've actually had things try to throw me down the stairs and stuff like that. And it's not a fun place to be. Now, so let's take throwing down the stairs into a more violent aspect and say that thing's going to come after me sexually, which I am not inviting. I'm just saying I wouldn't want that. So why would we go out of our way to make something mad that we potentially know could swing something at us and smack us in the face? And we would be deemed helpless in that situation because we would be knocked to the side mentally and physically at that point, and it would take us a moment to recover. I mean, at least most people that I know, it would take them a good little minute to recover from that after they're shaking their head and like, what just happened to me? And so when we make our decisions to do our walkthroughs or to invite a spirit to commune with us physically, now, what is going to make that choice a right choice for you? Because I'm all about experimentation and all about, let's see where this can go. But where do you draw the line on that? I mean, with these two girls earlier, It's like, it was very cavalier, or at least I think that it was very cavalier of them to think that they were going to try to evoke some kind of spirit and not walk away without a limp. Because if you think, it's like wielding the name of a powerful dark entity and saying that it's cute and fluffy, like the Easter Bunny, or wielding its name like it's a bunny toy from Toys R Us. That's not the case. I can tell you that there is evil in this world, and sometimes it's not coming in a package that you expect it to come in. This is one of those instances that maybe you want to. It's all romantic and great to think of somebody being interested in you spiritually, like a spirit situation, romantic spirit situation, where you have these repeat things happening. And without a doubt, like that widower, his wife comes to him like every 4 to 6 weeks or less. So it's like, and he's got to be, because the article was a couple of years old, and if he's still alive, he's got to be in his late 70s, early 80s. And even at that time, for him to say that he was having a very healthy, active sex life with his deceased wife, that's something right there. Because most adult males, after a certain point, don't, in my realm of experience, think about things that often, unless it's, I guess, that interesting and new, or they've, just fill in the blanks yourself. I won't elaborate. But it just flabbergasted me that somebody would love somebody so much that they would still be with them and be that interested in them even after death. Because that takes that till death do us part kind of thing a little further. It's like, so these people were married effectively over actually almost 60 years. Because they were married from the time they were kids. And they had children and all that. And they stayed together. And I'm sure that the relationship, like everybody else's, was work. Because anything worthy of anything is work, correct? So when you take these situations and you cull them into something that might be a little bit more understandable and step back, they're still not understandable by realms of what our understanding base is. Because, like I said, I know people that have known each other for like 20, 30 years, and they don't know each other as intimately as some of my people that don't have that dynamic. They're not married. They're never going to be married. But their intimate dynamic is a lot more sweet, at least in my eyes, because they have a trust together, and they give they give themselves to each other without hesitation. Now, if you can do that for somebody, you can do that for an entity. Why can't you do that for your significant other? Now, and you going back to the February 14th thing, which I'm happy to revisit it since we do have some time here. Does anybody have any stories about February 14th and why it is so important, or spectral importance to that date as well? Because I know a lot of loved ones either have passed or moved on, or if you have a deceased like boyfriend or girlfriend, if you've ever noticed anything around that time, if you had a romantic lover that passed away and you've ever noticed that they have left anything for you, or you felt anything from them after their death. Is there anything out there? I mean, we know that there's something to it, but it's just that, does the date have any kind of recognition in the spirit world, or is it all based on emotion? Is it an emotional want? Is it something that just happens because the chemicals are right and it just appears? Or is it because of that whole American Standard Hallmark holiday that, oh my gosh, I've got to have this happen on this date because ... The phone number, once again, is 202-559-7943. If anybody should like to elaborate on that. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really read the questions in the chat room should you have any. But I would be happy to speak with you verbally if you'd like. Or Katie'd love to do an interpretive dance since you can see her clearly.
I am right here. No, Sean asked another question in the chat room a little earlier on, and he said, "Why provoke an entity? Is that a good idea?"
A lot of people, Sean, this is Sean, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I'm not just randomly. Okay, so the only reason that a lot of people provoke anything is because they're trying to do action-reaction. So I'm going to provoke this certain thing because I want this to happen, or I'm thinking that this is going to happen because of this action. So when I go and do that, in my realm of experience with that one thing, this is what's going to happen. Let's say I'm going to knock on the door a couple of times, and then I'm going to wait for something to knock back. And if it does that, that's all well and good. Now, or let's say it's been quiet for 6 hours of the investigation and nothing's happened except for a couple of random orbs, which is woo, orbs, because we can get those all day long anytime, right? Usually. But apparently in this investigation, we're not getting anything. So some people will go through and try to find a trigger object, which I've actually set up and I've worked with a lot to try to get within proximity of something that comes up super hot and find it, grab the object and do a little bit of provocation. So this is your chapstick. What importance does this chapstick have to you? I mean, would you like it if I threw it in your face, kind of thing? Take an approach of, somebody who's really aggro about that, or take a picture of somebody who is a loved one of that person and threaten them. I've not done that. I know people who have, just to clarify. I'm not about that because I really don't want violence. I've seen too much of it. I would rather that it not happen. But some people are happy with things being thrown across the room or cupboard doors being thrown open. I've seen cupboard doors get ripped partially off the hinge because a spirit got that angry. So to clarify, it may not have been a spirit. It could have been a demon. It could have been a lot of things. But I can tell you that I couldn't see it, but we did hear it. And most of the time, provocation works in ways that you're expecting but not expecting. And the reasons why you would do it is because it's been awfully quiet, or that you're going to get, maybe the last team got a better rise out of it than you've had before. So people will try it because they've never done it before, just to see what happens. Thank you for your question, Sean. Katie, is there any other questions at this time?
Not at the moment.
All right. So, and we continue on to ask. It's with those lovers and passed away friends and things of the sort. I mean, do we want to legitimately have physical relationships with them? Or I even had a friend who, after they had taken their life, and I was really distraught about this person dying. And it was I went down and I had a little mirror between my window frame. And so it was a Victorian home. It had a little etched glass frosted mirror between the two windows on the kitchen sink. And I just kind of looked up, and behind me, it had to be 1 or 2 in the morning, but behind me was the person that had taken his life. And when I turned around, he wasn't there. But when I looked in the mirror, he was there. And I was definitely awake because I had to go down several flights of stairs to get down to the kitchen to get my drink of water. And I look up and he's there. And what happens is that I see him and I just start getting really emotional because I worried about his kids and his wife and everything. And I was just trying not to be too entirely emotional about it. And I'm like, Alfred, we really miss you. And we just want to know everything's okay. And I felt his hand on my back. And he winked at me and he was gone. So it was like getting a spectral. I mean, he didn't do anything except for, how your friends usually put their hand on your shoulder and rub your shoulder a little bit. That's what he did. And it was like he came back to let me know that everything was okay. Now, was there a question, Katie?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. I'm hearing, I'm like, okay, I don't want to run over anybody because we only have a short amount of time left. So I just want to make sure that I'm not running over anybody's questions. But it's like, if we're caring enough to reach out to the spirit world to try to test the water, our spirits intentionally coming back to us to show us that they still care about us from beyond where our understanding stops and theirs extends. Have we stopped to kind of broach that? I mean, if our thoughts and feelings and processes don't end with death, and in fact, it's kind of almost like a catalyst that if somebody passes away, it a lot of times exacerbates that love and care because you become so overwhelmed. And it doesn't matter if you knew the person was going to pass away or the nature of their passing, if it was sudden or if it was them that decided that they were going to stop and no longer be part of our lives anymore. What creates that situation? I mean, where do we go with knowing whether or not we are reaching out to loved ones or people who are not loved ones for sexual reasons or just to fulfill either a fantasy or to fulfill a need is going to be a good idea? I mean, or is it really going to be the person that comes to us? We don't know that either. Because I know that I physically saw my friend. Now, was that a emotion reason that I saw him? Because I definitely felt him there in the room with me. And this transpired over, I would say, less than 3 minutes. A less than 3 minute period. Because it's like I looked over my shoulder. He was there in the mirror. He wasn't there when I looked back. And then he grabbed my shoulder and swept it and left after he winked at me. And the wink was my absolute knowledge that he was okay, because he used to wink at me all the time like that to let me know that everything was okay. No matter what, I could always look over at Alfred and he would wink. And if everything was all messed up, he wouldn't wink at me. He would just kind of nod at me and go, it's not okay. Sound people, you got to love them, I guess. Sound people that don't actually make any sounds. That's a whole entirely different topic. But I just encourage people to ask a lot of questions, field those questions yourselves, challenge yourself to understand more, get past your fear. I mean, if it's going to be a matter of time, or it's going to be a matter of circumstance that you decide to take certain things into your hands and do certain things within your own personal time frame, within your comfort level, to do the things that you want to do to get the answers that you need. It may or may not be something rash like, oh yeah, I'm going to go try to get a spirit to have sexual relations with me. Or it may be just as simple as trying to reach out to find out if it's possible for that to even happen. So, was there anything, Katie?
Nope.
Nope. Got nothing. I guess I got nothing today, but that's cool too. So, well, kind of. But anyway, what is the understanding of the discorporated source that we're trying to tap into? Do they rationalize like we do? Bearing in mind that maybe we should rationalize or not? Or is it just us and our frustrated emotions that take this to the next step? Or are we just basically going through the motions at this point, just trying to get more data and more information on a subject that everybody else has tried to tap on, but we're just all of a sudden getting brave enough to follow through with? Now, are you ever going to be brave enough to do something like that? I personally don't know that I'd recommend doing it unless you are absolutely prepared for what's going to come out of that box once you open it. Or just sit back and do your research and decide if phantom love is something that you really want to get into, or if you just want to just find out more about it. Because, I mean, as interesting as it is, I mean, I still question myself on that day. It's like, did I leave myself open? Was this really not an okay thing that happened? Did I turn it into something because I wanted it to be something better than what it was? Or was it really that good? Because from my scope, it was that good, but I could be rationalizing something that could have been bad. And that's on me. That's absolutely on me if that is the case. So, rape is never a good thing. Even if it's a ghost or a demon or anything else, especially if it is or it isn't, it's a violent crime. And even if it's something that can't be seen or even taken to jail, I don't take it lightly. And most people should, like when we're doing our investigations, and any other paranormal investigator that is out there, as most of us are, very safe and think things through before we just decide to make a rash decision. Because so many things are so up in the air when things happen, and you can't just make a snap decision unless you're ready to make a snap decision. Like, oh, so I'm being touched sexually by something, so let me get to a place where it can just take it all the way. I don't know about that. I don't know a lot of things. I'd have to be, I'm still open to being convincible about a lot of things, but this is something where I'm glad to hear everybody else's stories on it and their research documents and the pictures or whatever they do have, and the things that I know to be true for myself. However, am I ready to just lay myself bare and open to anything that comes along? Absolutely not. Because have I seen some stuff happen? Yeah, I have. And it didn't even have to be that dramatic to cure my curiosity, let me tell you. So I have a good, healthy respect for anything that decides to call itself a demon or a parasite or you know, an angel or archangel or seraphim, cherubim, whatever they're trying to hallmark their experience as. You can't just bottle something and sell it because it's pretty. You have to have some kind of background and some information that kind of go with that bottle so that people don't question your actions and reactions to it. And I'm not saying that everybody's flaky. I'm just saying put some oomph behind those words or some research behind your want, so that once you get there and you get to the point that you're going to do A, B, and C, that when you're doing A, B, and C, that you have some meat underneath it that's going to hold up in a foundation to keep your tower from tumbling. Because otherwise, something's going to be able to sweep through there and knock you flat. And that's true of most things. And so, in closing, I just say to, just for your own personal, to take note of the things that interest you. If phantom lovers interest you, definitely do a load of research. If you've had an experience, like I'm currently doing research on the experience that I had, I'm trying to find somebody who's had a very similar experience with the same thing, because my experience is it's not that different, but the thing that makes it different is that I don't feel like I was violated. I go back to think on maybe that could have been the case, and I just decided to turn it into something different. But like I said, that's my thought process. So I even question myself because I've learned to try to debunk the things that I even believe in. So that's kind of a true test from my aspects and where I'm at right now, to throw the ball back at that wall and see if it comes back in a different direction at me, because 9 times out of 10 it will come from a far off direction at a different angle, and instead of bouncing up, it's going to bounce downwards and then smack you in the face, and then give you a new perspective on what exactly you were working on and the nature of everything else. So like I said, learning even about yourself is a great thing, and your limits and your knowledge. And if you can trust the knowledge that you have about yourself. So on that, I guess I need to remind everybody to like, share, and subscribe to Tripping the Void, as well as other great shows from LNM Networks, Late Night in the Midlands. And not only do we love our listeners, but we also ask that, because we would not be here without you, to please donate to our lovely little station here. So if you'd like more content or more people to be introduced to the network, that's how we're able to keep this lovely place going, is because of our awesome listeners and the peoples in the chats and things like that. So, and we definitely enjoy hanging around you guys as much as we enjoy having you listen as well. So this is Saraphine Hurley and Tripping the Void, and this has been an awesome opportunity, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next Saturday.
This has been Late Night in the Midlands, Tripping the Void, with Saraphine Hurley. I know I enjoyed the trip. Until next time, Saraphine Hurley with Tripping the Void. Later.